Oh, you're talking Aisha?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sunnah Camp is here today again with day 20 Kids by Kids program. MashaAllah, day 21. Sorry, it is day 21. And we have Mia sisters here. They will be, inshallah, starting their program. Listen carefully and then don't forget to comment down below. And Sister Alia is here. I'll pass the mic to Alia before the Mia sisters start. Alia. Okay, Alia, I think Alia is confused that what are we doing because I took over her job. So let's go to Mia sisters. Mia sisters.
Okay, let me just wait for my screen to load. Anytime now.
Drum roll.
Look like it.
Mia here.
Okay, now go, Aisha.
Assalamu alaikum, Mia here.
Welcome to day 21 of learning and memorizing the beautiful 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Let's get started. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم إني أسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى.
From now on, we will be doing 4 beautiful names. Today, we are learning Al-Muhyee, Al-Mumeet, Al-Muhyee, and Al-Qayyum.
Alhamdulillah, today we have reached the 60th name. We've approached the last couple of days of our journey, subhanAllah. The lessons from now on will get a bit longer as we will be doing 4 names, inshallah. So, without further ado, let's begin.
Al-Muhyee means forgiver of life. This name comes in the Quran 2 times in 2 different chapters.
Yes. The root letters for the name Al-Muhyee are Ha, Ya, Ya. And actually the name Al-Hayy, which we'll also be learning later on inshallah, is also from the same root letters. And it is also from the verb Ahya, which means to give life, preserve, or to save lives. And Hayya means to live. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the energy source of the light behind life. He is the one who gives life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives life in a couple really important ways that we'll be discussing. So first, He chose to give life to us. So you and I, out of all the possible things He has created, He decided to bring you into this world and make you Muslim, more importantly. And He decided where you will be, at what time, and at what place. That shows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cares about us and thinks us worthy, thinks that we are special enough to have been brought into this world and into existence. But are we proving it? Are we really fulfilling our purpose in this life? And the second way that He has brought us into life is that after we die, He is going to bring us back. So He will give us life again after death. And this also connects to the name that we did yesterday, Al-Mumeet, which is the restorer or the reviver. And on that day, we will stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and He will judge us for how we spent our lives in this dunya, what we did with the special gifts, talents, with the opportunities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And did we use them in a way to His liking, or did we take advantage of the opportunities when He had given them to us right in our faces? Did we make use of our time? These are the special ways of giving life that no one else can do. Nobody else can bring the life out of nothing. Only Al-Muhyee has the power to do so. And another beautiful thing I want to touch on with this name is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is Al-Muhyee. He is the one who also brings the heart to life. So he brings it to life with the Quran and Sunnah. You know, there are times when you learn something about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you just learn something and it hits so deep and you're like, subhanallah. And alhamdulillah, our hearts have the ability to do that we grasp onto stuff and it just hits deep and you have to, reflect on yourself and think. And there's some people in the world whose hearts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sealed. So whenever they hear a new revelation or learn something new in their deen, it doesn't hit. It doesn't touch their hearts as it may touch yours. So thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. That alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has brought my heart to life, who has made my heart open to learning and implementing what I learn and allowing me to change myself for the better.
Al-Mumeet means the bringer of death. This name appears in its Bible form in the Quran.
Al-Mumeet, the bringer of death. This name comes from the verb amata, to cause death. Mat'a is to die. Similar to the name Al-Muhyee, which was the giver of life, Al-Mumeet is the taker of life. In other words, he is the bringer of death. Allah is the creator of the experience of death. Every being will taste death. No living creature can escape it. It is written for everyone that they will die, at what time and at what place. From the root Maut, which has the following classical Arabic connotations: to die, pass away, burn out, be lifeless, be quiet, still, calm, inanimate, to be deprived of sensation, to be spiritually dead, lacking spiritual life. Everyone on this earth must die someday. Al-Mumeet, the Almighty, decrees death for whomsoever he pleases. None causes death except he. He has subdued his servants by death, causing them to go back to the earth from which he had created them and to be covered with dust. He is the one who created the inanimate world to which all living forms return, the one who ordains what shall become lifeless, the one who creates the appearance of death, physically or spiritually. Al-Mumeet has caused the heart of sinners to die because of going against his will. He's the creator of death. He has caused the tyrants to die out of his mercy for the living. He causes the oppressors to die on account of their disrespect for him. He causes the land to die, rendering it barren, free from vegetation. Then he brings it back to life when it produces. He brings to life his sunnah by causing his prophets to inherit it from their predecessors, and he causes the death of innovations through the life of knowledge. Wherever you may be, death will overtake you, even if you should be within towers of lofty construction. But if good comes to them, they say, this is from Allah, and if evil befalls them, they say, this is from you. Say, all things are from Allah. So what is the matter with those people? They can hardly understand the statement.
Al-Hayy means the everlasting. This name appears 5 times in 5 different chapters.
The name Al-Hayy is from the same root as Al-Muhyee, as we previously discussed. And Hayya, which we also discussed previously, means to live. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has hayat. So he's the one who has life. His existence is perfect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always was, and he will always remain. He was always there at all times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this name in the Quran, and he says, you should rely upon Al-Hayy, who does not die. So meaning you should put your faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who alone is Al-Hayy, who alone is ever living. And this ayah makes it clear for us that he is Al-Hayy, he is the ever living, meaning that he will not die. So depend upon him. Because at the end of the day, if you depend on anyone else, sooner or later they will die. But Allah is ever living, so He will never die. He will never experience that. He's the one who gives life and takes it. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is truly dependable. All the creations in this dunya are not always dependable because they are not al-Hayy, because their time on this earth will expire. Their time will come to an end. This is why we should have tawakkul and learn to rely only on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and on Him alone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always was and He will always remain. And this also means that, He does not sleep and He does not get tired. He doesn't have any deficiencies. He is perfect in every way. For us, our bodies need sleep. We need sleep to properly function. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not. He is ever living. He's the bestower of life. He is not subject to time, decay, or death. So Allah is Al-Hayy, meaning that He also does not suffer from any deficiencies like death or drowsiness, etc. Common things that we humans suffer from. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above that. He is perfect and He is free from all those flaws. And if He is ever living, meaning He always was and will always remain, then that means that His knowledge, His will, all of His attributes, all of His abilities are perfect. And since we know that Allah is alone is Al-Hayy, that means for us that we should worship only Him. We should make Him the center of our life, our ultimate goal, to please Him. So depend on Him and have tawakkul, because everything else, sooner or later, will perish, and only He will remain. None of our needs, none of our wishes or desires, our du'as that we've been working so hard to make the perfect du'as, 16 du'as, they can't be fulfilled without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So acknowledge that when you're making your du'as this night, inshallah, have full hope and just know that these du'as will get accepted because you are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are asking Al-Hayy. And if you can't depend on Him, then who can you depend on?
Al-Qayyum means that the sustainer. This name appears 3 times in the 3 different chapters.
Al-Qayyum, the sustainer. This name comes from the verb qama, to stand fast or firm. This comes from the same root we get iqama, which is to call, to stand for prayer. Allah is the source of all subsistence and existence. He is self-supporting and self-sustaining. He is firm in His rules and will over, and He cares for His dominion and creation by Himself. He is independent and doesn't need any support. He doesn't need any food, anyone's praise, any partners, anything. But we see that every creation has needs, and if those needs are not fulfilled, the creation can't live. For example, we need oxygen to breathe. If we don't have air to breathe, we wouldn't live. But it's more sophisticated than that. If our lungs aren't working, that oxygen still can't help us live. Or if our heart isn't working, etc. SubhanAllah, we are so dependent, weak. That is Al-Qayyum, the sustainer. He is independent, but He is the supporter of all. Nothing in this world or beyond it can exist without the support Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives. Al-Qayyum. Nothing can exist without depending on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. SubhanAllah. That just makes you feel so small. It makes you appreciate the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much more. And it makes you realize how blessed we really truly are, alhamdulillah. He is Al-Qayyum, the maintainer, the one who sustains everything. He watches, knows, and governs all of our actions. Okay, I want you to think about this earth that we live on. What if it was always scorching because we lived super close to the sun? Would we be able to survive? Or what if there was no gravity? Would we be able to live as normally and blessedly as we do? No, we would not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the earth and everything around it in such a way that we were able to live on it without issue. Even if one thing wasn't the way that it was, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it, sustains it, it would be impossible for us to live here, for us to survive. Al-Hayy indicates the perfection of his qualities, and Al-Qayyum indicates the perfection of his actions. Subhanallah, if his actions were not perfect, life would be impossible. He sustains everything with nothing but extreme perfection. Subhanallah.
Guess what tonight is? It's the night of power. We hope you are ready. It is going to be amazing.
Yeah, that's right, Aisha. Tonight is the first night of Laylatul Qadr. And for some who are watching this, the night may have already passed. Yesterday, we had a wonderful presentation by Imran and Rahana talking about this night of power. So, Jazakallah khair to both of them for that. Laylatul Qadr is also a night where all of our du'as will be accepted. And something you can add to your du'as to beautify them even more is to add the wonderful names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After all, we're learning them for a reason, because we want to get to know Him. We want to know our Creator and get to a spiritually higher level of taqwa. So connect the names that you have learned so far with your dream du'as or any du'a that you have.
Exactly. When you're asking for forgiveness for a sin you frequently committed, call upon Al-Ghaffar, and no sin is too large for Al-Ghafur to forgive. When you're in trouble and in a tough situation, call upon Al-Waqid, the disposer of all affairs. When you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open the doors for more opportunities, call upon the name Al-Fattah, the opener. All these names connect in one way or another. So add them into your du'as, beautify them, inshallah, and get to know your Rabb better.
Yes. And if any of you need any help with that, or you're unsure of what names fit in with the topics of your du'as, then you can let us know in the chat and we'll be happy to help, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum. I hope you all have an amazing Laylatul Qadr tonight, or if it's already passed, I hope you had an amazing Laylatul Qadr.
Out.
Jazakallah khair, the Mia sisters. That was just such an awesome class. Again, make sure you guys comment down below what names stood out to you, because it definitely was just such an amazing class today too, as it always is. The names that stood out to me the most was the Al-Muhyee and Al-Qayyum, because I feel like they go hand in hand in the sense that Al-Muhyee is the giver of life and Al-Qayyum is the sustainer. Like, he subhanahu wa ta'ala can give any life of whatever he pleases, and he can sustain that himself, because a lot of things that we have today and we don't necessarily consider it, but it sustains us. It's what keeps us alive and what keeps us growing, subhanAllah. So Fatma, I know you have your hand raised. I'm not sure if you want to talk about the names that stood out to you the most.
Mm-hmm. So the name that stood out to me the most was Al-Hayy, the ever-living. I just love that because he cares for us so much. Actually, I loved all of the names today, but mostly Al-Hayy, because if we can't trust him, then who can we trust?
100%. Actually, you just reminded me from your reflection that, like, it really is the most amazing thing to know that he is the only one that we could truly be dependable on. And I think that that's where all these names come in, is that because he is not only the giver of life and also the bringer of death, or the giver of death, and the ever living and the sustainer, he is really the only one that we can depend on, subhanAllah. It's just a beautiful thing when you're in times of trouble, or if you're in times of something, to know that there is Allah who you can depend on if there's no one else that you can. So subhanAllah, it's such a beautiful, beautiful name. And also thank you for the reminder with the Laylatul Qadr. I know it's something that we want to be making dua for, so it's definitely a great reminder to keep in mind. And yeah, so Jazakallah khair again, everyone, so much for your presentations, and Jazakallah for joining us on this live stream today. We really have been having so much fun the past 20 days, and it just went through so quickly. So we were so excited to have you guys here. Again, go click the link in the description box to check out all our social medias. We've still got content pumping out on YouTube, Facebook, everything like that, so check it out. And inshallah, we will see you all tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.